Okay, today you're going to work on how to find a common denominator. This is going to be a skill that you're going to need to use when we start adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. So, for example, if we have the fractions 3/4 and 5/6, these two fractions have two different denominators, so as they stand, we can't add them or subtract them because we can't compare them when they have two different values. So we need to make them the same. So how do we do that? Well, remembering your vocabulary word for multiples, we're going to look at the multiples of the denominators 4 and 6. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to list 4 and 6, and we're going to skip count because multiples are the products of all of the multiplication problems involving 4 as a factor. So 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3. So you have 4, you have 8, 12, 16, 20, and 6 times 4 is 24. And I'm going to stop there. I don't need to keep going because I know if none of these other numbers match, then 4 times 6 is obviously going to be a common factor because the other factor that I'm looking for, the other denominator, is 6. So those two are going to share, when you multiply them, the same product. So that's as far as I'm going to go there. So then I'm going to look at 6, and I'm going to skip count by 6's. 6, 12, 18, 24. So I know that these two are in common, but the thing that I want to find is the least common multiple. So that's going to be the smallest multiple that they have in common. So the first number you come to in the list. So not only do they have 24 in common, but if you see, they also share a 12. Okay? And if you want to up here, you can write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of create your little T-chart. So 4 is 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, and so on. So I see that I need to now use those skills that we've been practicing, renaming fractions, to rename both of these fractions with a denominator of 12. So to do that, we're going to set it as 3/4 and 5/6. And remember, when you're renaming fractions, you're multiplying by 1. So we need to give 1 a new name, because in this case we're making the denominator bigger. Therefore, we're using multiplication, not division. So what 1 are we going to use for 3/4 to get 12? Well, 4 times 3 is 12, so that's what I'm going to need to multiply to fill in the blank. I need to multiply 4 by 3. Therefore, the one that I need to use is 3/3, 3/3. And then I can complete my fraction. 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to give you just a second. See if you can rename 5/6 to a new fraction with 12 as the denominator. Okay. If you need more time, you can pause the video, but otherwise we're going to continue. So if I look, I can obviously see that 6 times 2 is 12. So the one that I need to use here is 2/2, because whatever we do to the bottom, we also have to do to the top to make it equivalent. And 5 times 2 is 10. So my new fractions, 3/4 and 5/6, would then become and rename to 9/12 and 10/12. Okay? And for today, that's all you're going to do. You're going to practice just finding a common denominator and then going back to those skills, renaming to create a new fraction with the same denominators. So I'm going to give you one more example that we're going to look at. And we're going to do 2/3. And let's do 4/6. Okay. All right. One of the things that should stand out to you, if you know your multiples of 3, 6, there's that common denominator. 6 would be the common denominator, and that's okay. That means, in this case, that the only fraction you need to change is 2/3, because 6 already has the common denominator. So to change it, you would change 2/3, setting it up just like this. We know the new denominator needs to be 6. So to get 6, we know 3 times 2 is 6. So the 1 that we need to multiply is 2/2. So 2/3 times 2/2 is 2 times 2 is 4/6. So 2/3 is actually equivalent to 4/6. So both of these fractions are 4/6. So in your answer today, what we were looking for is your work showing me that you've found the common denominator, you've renamed your fractions, and then just list the new fractions. We're not adding, we're not subtracting, we're just working on finding common denominators.